remember. I just want you to know I will remember. I will remember for the rest of my life what you have just shared with us. I will remember the same way as one day I was in Egypt when Boutros Ghali had asked me to try to prepare a report for the United Nations on the impact of conflict on children. And we had a consultation in Cairo where we brought children from Middle East because we wanted to be close to Palestine. We couldn't go, but we wanted to bring as much children from Palestine to be part of the conversation. And at the end of that consultation, there is a young boy. He was 14. He came to me and he said, "Mrs. Machel, you said you are preparing a report for the United Nations. You are going to be telling those presidents and prime ministers and ministers, all the world leaders, about what is happening to us. But what are they going to do after you have given the report?" And I couldn't reply. Then he went further and said, we have been in refugees, we are growing in refugee camps. Tell me one thing, Mrs. Machel. When this is going to end? And this is a boy, a 14 years boy from Palestine. And that was in 1995, because I presented the report to the United Nations in 96. Listen, we are here in 2019. The children of Palestine are still in refugee camps. In fact, the solution of the two states to give a home and recognition to Palestine as a country, it's more elusive today than it was those days. But I never forgot that child who asked me, when this is going to end? And I couldn't answer, as I'm not able to answer to you. The only thing I can promise is I will remember. I will remember. As I remember many of stories of children I have come across with in my life. And some people ask me, what keeps you going? What keeps me going is these stories. And many stories which we cannot tell today. I'm moved to tears, so I don't think I'm effective to close this. I think Remember did it beautifully. I think Samuel and Salim, they did it beautifully. So I had prepared notes which I don't think really will be so relevant at this point in time. But I want to start by thanking the children, those children sitting there. who spoke to us yesterday. And I want to promise that all our international conferences from now on will bring the voice of children, so that we will always remember. I want to, toning down, I want to say that ACPF and these conferences will continue to be the space as we as Africans, with support and contributions of experiences from all over the world. But this is our narrative. This has to continue to be our narrative. And it has to be from these intellectuals who presented reports here. It has to be from the voice of these young women who are my ministers who spoke to us here. It has to be by practitioners of different fields. They have to be the one to continue to build the African narrative of how we see our own children and how we try the best we can to change the way we treat our children. And we'll continue to do this. Some of the people who spoke here, and I listened very carefully, are doubtful whether this is not only a talk show. They are doubting whether it is really useful for us to come and make all these presentations of research and etc., almost angry, telling us that we're wasting time. I want to reaffirm, this is an important space. We will nurture this space because it has to be Africans themselves with different capacities and different power to shape the narrative. Shaping the narrative, it means also that the knowledge we have today about hunger and its impact on development of a child, as it was expressed this morning by Alice, and then it was the gentleman from ECA. Yes, it has to be owned by Africans. These people who spoke here about what we are doing to our children by neglecting just food and, of course, nutritious food. It came from African mouths. It came with the power of us recognizing as Africans that between what we are doing and what science tells us, there has to be a close of the gap. So that we don't have, like some of those who spoke in this room, the doubt of saying, does it mean that me being here and being an African, I'm hungry? Yes, we have. In my country, 60% of adults have been stunted. They are working, but yes, they are stunted. And because we're stunted, their potential to contribute to my country, I'm not talking of other countries, of my country, has been diminished forever. They will never recover because they missed those 1,000 days. And when we say 40% of African children are stunted, we are saying 40%, which is almost half of our children on this continent, they will never recover in terms of their full potential to develop this continent, to develop our societies. And that's the impact of hunger. That is the impact of undernutrition, as they called it. Yes, it's important. Perhaps we didn't invent that knowledge, but it has to be owned and shared in a platform like this, from Africans to Africans, and to take responsibility. And this is the importance of this forum. It is important for Africans not to find excuses to say, oh, because 100 of organizations who are here are not doing their job. Well, I would wonder why are they coming? They come because we Africans fail to do our job. We fail to do our job. You don't have African going to Europe or whatever to do civil society organizations to tell Americans or to tell Europeans what they should do with their children. Do we have them? No. They are coming here because we are failing our children. So it's not their problem. It is our problem. It is our problem. And we shouldn't find excuses for that. We have to own the problem so that we'll be able also to own solutions. I don't know. Now it's not my mind talking. No, it's not even my heart talking. It's my belly as a mother and grandmother. I want to say this. We have the knowledge. Much better than we used to have some time back. But this knowledge, we have to be honest and ask, how many of our presidents know about the impact of hunger on children? Do you think they know? Many of them, they don't know. They think of hunger only in terms of filling the tummy. But the impact which we're talking about here, many of them, they don't know. I'm talking because I've spoken to some of them. And only when you talk to them, you give them the evidence, they open their eyes and say, is that so? Why I'm saying this? I'm saying the issue of awareness of the leadership. We have to take responsibility. Sit down with them. Explain to them what they are doing to their children. Perhaps there won't be all of them, but there will be a few who will be touched as all of us we are touched here today. And from that point, they will act differently. We shouldn't take it for granted that they know it's only lack of will. Some of them, they don't know the magnitude, the extent of the impact of what we have been talking about here. So the commitment which I want from each one of us, researchers, practitioners, whoever you are in your own position, let us build awareness. And Amin Salim, you put it right. Yes, let's engage those who have the ability to amplify the voice, to get it loud and strong for everyone to know and to take responsibility. I want to close because I had spoken. I said I was not going to talk. But I want to repeat what the president said yesterday, and we put it in our call to action. The commitment here is to say no child should go hungry. no child should die of hunger. No mother should bury her child because of hunger. And because we know and we don't care enough to support that woman. That is the commitment we should make here, each one of us, in whatever is your capacity. Knowing clearly that if we don't turn around this, our societies are going to continue to be stunted. Because almost half of children stunted, it means come 20 years from now, half of those citizens who are stunted today, they will be productive force of this continent and they will be stunted. So this issue is not a game. It's not a joke. Stunted societies, yes, will continue to be at the last of what other societies are being able to be. The best lesson we have got here, it came from those children. Remember, told us about the challenged person who gave them a loaf of bread. Those children, they have much less than any one of us here sitting. But they came and told us they are sponsoring a child. Them, at their age, they are showing what it means to take responsibility. They didn't stand before the leaders and ask and ask and ask. They are taking responsibility as children as they are. I want to finish saying, we at ACPF and our colleagues with whom we organize this conference, which are the Graça Machel Trust, Plan International, Christian Children's Fund of Canada, we commit here ourselves to ensure that this call for action, yes, we'll work with you to action it. But more importantly, we are going to work together to really pick up one area in which we can say in one country to say, let us implement all these things we are talking about. We are not here only just to facilitate these debates. We are going to act. We are going to work together. We are going to promote including this intersectorial coordination. We said here it was very difficult. On a personal note, 2 weeks ago, my organization in Mozambique, by the way, I'm Mozambican, After working with our government, that's a different story, but I want to say my organization launched a program in 10 districts of one of the most populated provinces, which have actually huge potential in agriculture, but it has the lowest percentage of children who are thriving, and it has the highest in the country, the highest rates of stunting. We launched that program in 10 districts. It will involve 69,000 families, because I said it's the most populous province. It will cover about 4,450,000 people. And this will start. We will work with each family. We will target pregnant women. We'll target little children. We'll target what we were told here, 2-3 years are the best time of a child to explode in terms of potential and faculties. All I'm saying is that we are not here only to talk. We are trying. We are trying. And we will continue to try. And we are going to learn the lessons. Part of lessons, actually, they come from Ethiopia. How to organize to go. Exactly what was said here about the Sikota Declaration. Exactly. We are an African country which is at the bottom. We are being called the poorest of the poor. And we are going to learn from one of the countries which is also considered a poor country. We are going to learn. But as the Sikota Declaration will be implemented here, at least we'll begin. We'll begin with these 100,000 families in that province of mine called Nampula. What I'm saying is each one of us here, in our way, be at least, if you want to match yourself with those kids. With those kids. Take one action. One action more than what you used to do. Yesterday when you came here, you were committed to do something, but now you have to do something else to honor those children. And those children, they should be like, remember, we should always remember. And we remember, but we should also be able to take action. At least one more action, more than what we're doing before we came here yesterday. To tell ourselves, to tell our children, we are accountable. We are accountable. It's not only to keep others accountable. We are, each one of us, we are accountable. I wish I would have an opportunity in 1 year's time to ask each one of us, what is your action which you committed on the 23rd or 4th? 24th? On the 24th of May, what is the action you committed to take to honor those children and to honor, remember, and to keep you remembering? Thank you so much.